Hello everyone, this is CS Divesh Goyal, practicing company secretary from Delhi. So I welcome all of you in this webinar on discussion on the MSME 1. So we know we are in the month of April and the new financial year has been started, that is financial year 25-26. So we have to do so much compliance under this financial year. The first and foremost compliance of the financial year from the point of view of a company secretary, generally we can say is the filing of the MSME 1 in the month of the April. So April month is the month of filing of the MSME 1 form. Further, I would request to all the person who have joined this webinar and who will join later on, please feel free to ask your all the question relating to the MSME 1, because the motto of this webinar not to get any credit hours and something, because you know ki on the these webinars you will not get any credit hours, but my only motto as a professional just to share the knowledge and help the professional fraternity, whether the company secretary, chartered accountant, whatever, to get knowledge and to get clearance on the latest amendments and the latest provisions. So today our topic is the MSME 1. Even I have prepared a detailed presentation on the MSME 1. If anyone interested to receive the copy of the presentation, you can drop me a message. I will send a copy of the same to the person who have sent a message. So hope this presentation is available on your screen is now. So today we are going to detail discuss about the MSME 1 form. MSME 1 is a half yearly compliances. This is aware to everyone. Every half year we have to work on the MSME 1 form. And this practically the one most important thing, everything whatever we are doing under Companies Act, having some sections, having some rules, and I must say specific sections and the specific rules. But for the MSME 1, practically there is not any specific section under Companies Act. This section talked about the MSME. Practically this MSME 1 form, the concept of the MSME introduced by the section 405 of the Companies Act. And it is introduced through a circular. Through a circular under section 405, it is introduced for the filing of the form under Companies Act 2023. So this is a primary section. So 403 is a 405 is a primary section who control the whole provision of the MSME 1. And this came by company furnishing of information about payment to micro small enterprise suppliers order 2019 from the 22nd January 2019. So from 22nd January 2019, first time MSME 1 has been launched. Now since then, every half year we are seeing that we are filing the MSME 1 form. So every half year we are working on the filing of the MSME 1 form. So, but one thing I have seen as a professional, as you know, as you all know, we are having our professional groups also in the name of Gyan Group. I have seen that every half year, whenever there is a time of the filing of this form, we have seen lot of questions and queries from the professionals. So this is the 16th April and first half year ended on the 31st March 2025. So for the financial half year ended on the 31st March 2025, the due date of filing of the MSME 1. Due date of filing of MSME 1 is 30th April 2025. So till 30th April, company have to file this form. That's why today is the 16th April. In the mid of the month, we have kept this session so that whoever is working on the MSME 1, they can resolve their doubts through this seminar, through this webinar. So whenever we talk about the MSME 1, first question, who is required to file form MSME 1? So, practically, which type of companies, whether a private company, whether a public company, whether a listed company, whether a non-listed company, whether a LLP. So the question is, which type of companies are required to file MSME 1? So the answer of this question, practically each and every type of company, whether you are a OPC, whether you are a private company, public company, listed company, unlisted company, each and every company have to file the MSME 1. If your company is falling into the criteria of the MSME 1. So applicability is on the every company, but now whether your company have to file or not, for that some criterias we have to follow. Criteria, if I will say, first thing we have to check whether as a company, whether we are having any vendor who are registered under MSME or not. So this provision of the MSME 1 does not applicable on the LLP. Only companies registered under Companies Act have to file the MSME 1 form. Now, if whether my company have to file or not, I have to check number one, whether any vendor of the company is registered under MSME or not. So this is the first point we have to check, whether any vendor of our company is registered under the MSME or not. This is the first check. If I found yes, there are some of my vendors who are registered under MSME, then I have to check the condition number 2, whether the payment to such MSME supplier is outstanding for more than 45 days from the acceptance or deemed acceptance of such goods. Whether the payment to such MSME vendor is pending more than 45 days at the end of half year. If second condition is yes, then definitely your company have to file this form. But second condition is no. Then let's check condition number 3. Whether the payment made to MSME supplier after 45 days from the date of acceptance during the half year. So whether you have made the payment or not made the payment, but if both the things are after 45 days, then definitely you have to file this form for your company. So you have to check the criteria. If number one, if agar 31st March 2025, that is end of the half year, on that day, there are some vendors who are registered under MSME, but their payment is pending more than 45 days, you have to file this form. But you said there is no vendor whose payment are pending more than 45 days is outstanding on the 31st March. Then that's another condition I will check, whether during the half year, you have made payment to any MSME vendor after 45 days. If answer is yes, then definitely this form is required to be filed. But if answer of all these 3 points are no, then whether we have to file this form or not. For that, we have to understand the conversion of the MSME 1 from the V2 version to the V3 version. Why I'm saying so? Because there was some different provisions for the MSME 1 form in the V2 version, and there are different provisions for the MSME 1 form for the V3 version. Although there is no change in the law, there is no new circular, there is nothing. It just earlier we were filing the form on the V2, so there was a design form. Now we have to file the form on the V3. The form design has been changed, but what ministry is doing these days, along with the change in the design of form, so many things they are changing into the form. Many times those things are even as per the provision or even not as per the provision also. So this MSME 1 is one of the example where the form is going beyond the provision. Otherwise, general interpretation of statute state, the specific rule prevail over the general rule. Means the provisions will prevail over the forms, but this MSME 1, the form is prevailing over the rule. Why? How? I just tell you. Earlier, this V2 into V2 version, MSME was required to file only in these 2 conditions. When there are pending more than 45 days to MSME vendor, or when company have made payment to MSME vendor after 45 during the half year, either of the condition is fulfilled, then we have to file the form. Otherwise, company was not required to file the form. But the scenario has totally been changed into the V3 version. Now V3 version is saying, if your vendor to whom payment has been done during the half year within 45 days, this is a new criteria as per this V3 version, even the payment made to the MSME vendor within 45 days during the half year, you have to file this form. Even the payment is outstanding as of the half year, but 45 days are not yet over, still you have to file this form. So these are the 2 points. Practically, as per the V3 version, MSME form have to file in the 4 condition. Condition number 2 and condition number 4 was earlier there into the V2 version also, which we have discussed earlier. But now condition number 1 and condition number 3 is totally the new condition. And if we analyze this condition, these 2 conditions are saying, even if the payment made to MSME vendor within 45 days during the half year, still you have to file. Or even there is an outstanding payment at the end of the half year, but 45 days is still not over, still you have to file the form. Now we analyze the provision of the MSME and we analyze the provision of the intent of the MSME Act 2006. These 2 points seems should not be there for the purpose of the MSME 1 form. Because I just take you to the MSME Act 2006 just to understanding. Section 15 of the MSME Act 2006 states that a buyer must make payment to the supplier within 45 days from the date of acceptance of good. And Section 16 states, If the buyer fails to make the payment within 45 days, they are liable to compoundable interest with monthly rest of 3 times of the bank rate. So if you go through these two provisions of the MSME Act, so intent of the MSME Act, if payment is made between first day to 45 days, that is completely okay. Because the purpose of the MSME Act was to save the small supplier. So they have keep the date 45 days as a normal days. That's why on the basis of the MSME Act section 15 and 16, Ministry issued a circular in 2019 and came with the MSME 1 form. And earlier the MSME 1 form was filed according to the this provision only when you make the payment after 45 days and when payment is outstanding more than 45 days on 31st March. But into this V3 version, the provision has totally been changed. Sometimes it feels that these are the unnecessary provision. If a company have made the payment, already made the payment within 45 days, then why we have to file this form? Even the initial provision of the MSME is specifically mentioned outstanding amount. So if it is talking about the outstanding, then if already made the payment within 45 days, then how it is outstanding? So this is really an ambiguity between the provision. Ministry definitely should come up with some circular, some notification to clear that if the payment made in 45 days or payment is pending at the end of half year, but 45 days still not complete, whether company have to file the form or not, an answer should be no. But as per current scenario, as per a current Excel sheet, I'm just showing you the Excel sheet also, which we have to file with the MSME 1. As per that current Excel sheet, it shows that even in these all 4 conditions, you have to file the MSME 1 form. So Excel sheet is, hope you can see the Excel sheet. I'm just sharing it. So hope Excel sheet is now available on your screen. So if you go through this Excel sheet, first serial number, second name of MSME supplier, agree. PAN of the supplier, agree. Paid within 45 days. If already made payment within 45 days, why we have to file the form? But until unless ministry come with any circular or any modification in the form for this half year, which is ended on 31st March 2025, even you have made the payment to your vendor, the MSME registered vendor within 45 days, still you have to mention the details here. Next, paid after 45 days, that is we are okay. If paid after 45 days, MSME Act 2006 also hit the same. So we should give the information. Outstanding for 45 days or less. If it is pending for 45 days or less, then why MSME Act should react? Why this form should ask the information? It should not be here, but right now it is here. We have to file. Outstanding for more than 45 days, definitely we have to file this form. So practically as on date, the form MSME V3 version is totally not going along with the provisions of the MSME 1 form. But as a professional, as a corporate, until unless ministry come with a circular or ministry modify their form, we have to file the form in all these 4 conditions. And there is a one column, through TRADS or through other modes. So practically many person ask what is TRADS. Actually, TRADS is the platform which is provided by the RBI, so that a person who want to take some, who has supplied some goods or services to the MSME vendor, but he knows his payment will come up to 45 days, but he required money at earlier stage. They can go through the TRADS and take the money from the government website, that is TRADS, and submit their invoice there. But practically a very few people use the TRADS portal. Other mode, definitely we have received the payment. So this is the one and the most important crucial point of the MSME 1 form, that in which condition we have to file. Now, just 2 minutes, I again take you on the same provision, then we will move forward. So after this discussion of the new Excel sheet of the MSME 1, now we are clear that in all these 4 conditions, number 1, micro small vendor whose payment has been done within 45 days, micro small vendor to whom payment has been done during the year but after 45 days, vendor whose payment is outstanding as the end of the year but 45 days are not yet over, vendor whose payment is outstanding at the end of the year, 45 days is over. In all these 4 conditions, if your company fall in any one condition also, you have to file the MSME 1 form. So generally you can say, now after these 4 conditions, only those companies don't have to file the MSME 1 form who don't have any MSME registered vendor. Even if you have a single MSME registered vendor, you have to file this form as per this condition, because if you are having vendor, you will definitely make the payment to them, whether within 45 days, whether after 45 days, but you will make the payment to them. So ministry should definitely take a step and come on this point. Now, one very crucial question before discussing the other things. If there is an outstanding due to a vendor registered as a medium enterprise, is MSME 1 form is required to file? I must say, there are the three criteria under the MSME: micro, small, and medium. As per the provision of this circular of 2019, and as per the MSME Act, the benefit of the 45 days is available to only micro and the small investors, vendors. Medium vendors don't have the benefit under section 15 and 16 of the MSME Act. Same, don't have the benefit under MSME 1 form. So MSME 1 form shall be filed only for the two type of vendor, micro and medium. If your vendor is registered under MSME, but registered under the medium category, then you don't have to file the MSME 1 for that vendor. Means the detail of that vendor shall not be mentioned under the MSME 1 form. Let me take you to the another question or another important point. What is the time period of filing of this form? This form we have to file 2 times in a year. This is the half yearly form. For the period ending April to September, the due date is 31st October. And for the period ending October to March, due date is the 30th April. So we have just ended our financial year 31st March 2025. So we have to file this form till 30th April 2025. My personal request to everyone, please file this form as soon as possible, because we know there is always a rush on the MC website at the end of on the due date. So please file it as soon as possible, so you will not face any difficulties on the pressure of the due dates. Now about the fees. This is the only form except CSR 2 under Companies Act which does not have any fees. If you file MSME 1 on the MCA website, practically you don't have to pay any fees. This is the free of cost form. So that's a good thing. The ministry is not charging any fees on the MSME 1. MSME 1 is totally free of cost. Now the question arises. If a company file MSME 1 after due date, means if a company file MSME 1 after 30th April, then what are the consequences? If payment is made to MSME vendor 45 days during the half year period. So the answer is that although MSME 1 provision is saying if you file the form after the due date, the additional fees is nil. As e-form does not have any fees, it will file with the nil. But there is another consequence of penalty. Section 450 is saying if a company has not filed the form within time, then ROC have power to impose the penalty under section 405. And generally, whenever I talk about the penalty, people say कि sir आप ऐसे डरा रहे हो. There is nothing like that. So I am practically covering a order of the Samsung R&D Institute India Bangalore Private Limited. The company was required to file MSME form April 2022 to September 2022 by 31st October and by 30th April. On July 2025, the company filed the both. So company have filed in the July 2023 instead of this and instead of this. The company have made delay in filing of the MSME 1. So ROC imposed the penalty on the company. So the calculation of penalty is like on the company is 20,000 plus 1,000 per day. And on the director is also 20,000 plus 1,000 on day. So they have imposed 2,85,000 on the company and 2,85,000 on the directors. For the one form, and for the second form, 20,000 plus 1,000 into days of delay. So maximum penalty on the company and director under this provision is 3 lakh. But if your penalty is within 3 lakh, you have to pay the same. So you can see, generally people don't take the MSME 1 as a serious form. They just say that there is no fees on the MSME 1, so we will file after due date. What's the issue in that? So, but if you're filing MSME 1 even after the due date, although your additional fees is 0, but you have to pay the penalties in lakhs. Earlier, whenever I discuss this, people say, sir, you are lying. But now the example of the case law is in front of us. And this is just one case law. There are the many other case law which we have seen. which impact these conditions. So another question, another point relating to the MSME one, if we are having a MSME vendor and more than one invoice of such vendor is pending for payment. For an example, there is a vendor Goyal Divesh and Associate. There are the certain invoice of that vendor. You have paid some bill within 45 days, paid some after 45 days, some outstanding at the end of half year, but not completed 45 days, and some outstanding on the half year, but more than 45 days. So whether we have to give 1, 2, 3 invoice wise detail or vendor wise detail. In V2 version, we have to give the invoice wise detail. But in V3 version, we have to give the vendor wise detail because you can see this column pen of supplier. This line does not take the same pen twice. So for a single vendor, you have to enter a single entry with all the information relating to that vendor. You cannot make more than one entry. Another change in V2 version, you have to mention each and every entry in the form. But in V3 version, you just have to go on the MSA website, log in the business user. Once you will go for filing of MSME 1, you will get this sheet. Just fill this sheet and upload it there. The data will automatically be captured. In a single sheet, you can mention approximately 1,000 entries. Earlier, there was restriction of the 99 entries, but now at approximately 1,000 entry you can make in this sheet. So practically process has been eased from the V2 version to the V3 version, but there are the certain issues which we have discussed, which definitely government have to address as soon as possible to save everyone. And the next provision, next most important question generally asked by the corporates to me, how to identify whether a vendor is registered under MSME or not. Because generally for the MSME, the checking of the MSME, there is no portal like income tax, like MCA, you go onto the portal and you check whether they are registered under MSME or not. So how to check? So practically there is no online portal. The only way to check whether a vendor is registered under MSME or not, you have to check from the vendor. Now, I tell you just one of the easiest and best way to do that. Every half year, do one thing, draft a mail and mention in the mail that we are sending this mail to each and every vendor. If you are registered under MSME, please confirm and share your certificate. Number one. Number two, if you have not shared your certificate or replied this mail in next 15 days or 20 days, we will consider you are not registered under MSME. So send this mail to all vendor half yearly. If you receive the reply, definitely analyze their certificates and accordingly fill in the form. But if you don't receive any reply, then as per mail, consider it that you have tried your best, but you have not received the reply. So you are considering it them non-registered. Even it will help the auditor also, because many times what happen, auditor are confused what to do. They have to believe on the management representation letter. But if there will be backing of the mail with the management representation letter, it's gonna help to the corporate as well as the auditor both to understand the things. Next question. If a company itself is registered under MSME, but not even a single vendor of the company is registered under MSME, whether company is required to file MSME 1 form? The answer is no. It doesn't matter the filing entity, the reporting entity registered under MSME or not. But if the vendor are registered under MSME, then we have to go for these provisions, these forms. So these are the certain provisions which I wanted to discuss with all of you. Now let's discuss the provision of the MSME and the questions which we have received from the professional point of view, so that whatever question you guys are having, we will revert on that and we will reply on the questions. So now I'm taking all the questions relating to the MSME, because basic criteria, basic structure of the MSME I have discussed with you. But this provision MSME 1 is totally based on the questions. So that's why I want to take the questions of you so that we can get the more clarity. Sometimes what happens, there is a question in our mind, but someone has already asked that question. So that question help to resolve our query also. So first question, we have made the payment within 45 days. Do we still need to file the return? So Arti ji, as you have mentioned the question, as we have discussed, as if we go with the provisions of the MSME one, then as per the provision, if there is nil outstanding at the end of the half year and company have made all the payment within 45 days, this form is not required to be filed. But since the time this form has been changed from the V2 version to the V3 version, now even the company have made payment to the micro small vendors during the half year within 45 days, still company have to file the form. Until unless MCA come up with any clarification or amendment, you have to file the form. Next question, if company takes services on the 5th March, then whether, and it was outstanding on 31st March, whether form need to be filed. Sir, same answer which I have given to the last question. Earlier, if the outstanding as on 31st March has not crossed 45 days, you was not required to file the form. But as on date, in the V3 version, even if the outstanding within 45 days, still you have to file the form. So as per your question, you have to file the form for this transaction. Can a director file MSME 1 return using his V3 ID? So yes, if the director is having the business user ID on the MCA side, then they can file the MSME 1 for their specific company. If the MSME, whether outstanding amount along with the interest to be mentioned only invoice amount. See, if you go through the sheet is specifically saying pending amount. Act is not mentioned, and act is not clarifying whether it is with interest or without interest. So it is totally on you what you consider. I will generally suggest go without interest, because we don't know what will be happen with the interest in future. If you go with the interest, then you have to check whether you have shown the same into your balance sheet, you have shown into the contingency. So many things will be there. So practically, it's better to go without interest. So same question was the next question. Jigar, you have the same question. So I have answered in the last question. If creditor is a small and he is a service provider, then we have to show in MSME. Yes, if creditor is a small and registered under the MSME. If registered under the MSME. One question. Sometime what happen? A entity is not registered with the MSME. But as per the limits, they are falling under small and medium criteria. Whether they will get the benefit of the act? So my answer is no. They will not get any benefit of the act. Until unless our entity registered under MSME Act, they will not get the benefit. So in your question, if the entity is registered, they will get the benefit. Entity not registered, they will not get the benefit. Next question. I'm trying to fill the Excel sheet in the Windows 7, but system is not spot. Twinkle, as you know, MCA V3 since the date it launched, so many issues are there. You can try an error on the different system, or if nothing is happened, you can do one thing, just send a mail to the MCA help desk along with the ICSI ID they have specifically provided, so they can try help you for the same. Can we file previous year MSME of 2020? Yes, you can file the MSME pending for 2020 in current days, but you have to file on the V3 version with the new guidelines. And as you are filing after due date, your additional fees will be nil, but ROC have complete power to impose a penalty on you. That is maximum 3 lakh on the company and maximum 3 lakh on the director. What does this outstanding amount to be reported in the MSME for? Whether it's outstanding due on 31st March? Yes, outstanding due on 31st March you have to mention. Next question. If a company has 20 MSME vendor, it need to file MSME form now. Is it mandatory for all vendor detail to be mentioned in the form? See, yes. If you have 20 MSME vendor, so definitely out of 4, and you have any transaction, payment within 45 days, payment outside 45 days, outstanding on 31st March, within 45 outside. So as many as number of MSME vendor you have in your company, as per the latest MSME V3 version, you have to file detail of every such company in your form. 45 days should be calculated from the invoice date or due date. Sir, if you go through the MSME Act 2006, it is saying 45 days from the acceptance of goods and services. So generally, acceptance of goods and services specifically mentioned somewhere that date you have to use for that transaction. Otherwise, invoice date is the better option to pick up. If outstanding as on 31st March is nil, then also company has to file. Yes, in the V2 version, it was not required to be filed if the outstanding is nil. But in the V3 version, this form is going totally against the provisions and the MSME Act. So you have to file until unless ministry comes with some clarification or amendment. What is the relevance of provision edit? Proviso edit through notification. Which proviso you are mentioning? Can you just extract the here so that I can update you on the same? So this is all about the MSME1 form. Just in the 2 minute, having giving you the final brief. MSME1 form is required to be filed half yearly for the financial year ending 31st March 2025. The half year is due date is 30th April. So till 30th April, every company have to file the MSME1 form. There is a big change in the MSME1 form from the V2 version and the V3 version, which we have already discussed. Now in the V3 version, even whether you have made the payment into 45 days, you have made payment after 45 days. Payment is outstanding less than 45 days or more than 45 days. In all four conditions, you have to file the form for your company. Means you have to file the form for your company for all the MSME vendor of such company. Even there is a nil outstanding as on 31st March, still you have to file this form if you are falling in any of the other categories of the V3 sheet. And only you have to cover the micro and small, medium shall not be covered for this purpose here. Additional fees for the MSME1 is nil, but ministry is imposing a lot of penalties these days. We have handled so many matters practically. That's why we are discussing with you. So this is a brief on the MSME. There are 2-3 more questions. I'll just take that and then I will conclude the webinar. Even after webinar, you have any question, any query, you can drop me on the WhatsApp and send on the comment box of the video. We will share with you. Next question, if there is a no outstanding, then also we need to file. Yes, we have concluded if there is no outstanding, but you have made the payment to MSME vendor during the half year, you have to file this form. If the company has not filed for earlier period, but it is has pending payment, can it file new form having those? Yes, if the for the earlier period also you can file now, but you have to file on the V3 version. You have to use this Excel format, and there will be nil additional fees. But if RC find out the same, they can impose the penalty on the company in lakhs. Ma'am, this proviso which you have mentioned in the MSME Act, MSME Act 2006, it does not have practically any relation with the MSME1 form because MSME1 form is totally going with the Excel sheet. It is not going with any provision. So ministry definitely should come up some clarification on that. MSME form is for small and medium creator who are manufacturer only or also the ma'am, sir, service provider or also the part of the MSME now. So they are also covered. I have one more question. If I have report one invoice April to September 2024 period, but the invoice is still outstanding. So whether we have to report? Yes. Whatever is outstanding on the 31st March, you have to mention whether relating to the that half year or whether relating to the previous half year. Doesn't matter if pending only for this half year we have to mention. No. All the pendency since earlier period also you have to mention. So this is all from my side on the MSME1 form. Still have any question, any doubt, please feel free to ask in the chat box or the WhatsApp. So thank you so much. Thanks everyone for the patience listening in the weekday. I will upload this complete video on this channel so you can watch anytime you want to watch. So thank you so much everyone for your patience listening. Still you have any question and doubt, please feel too free. And please share the link of the video with your professional colleagues so that everyone can take the benefit from the video. Thank you so much.